So I get my little apparatus going here, the chess game. I like it. I hope anybody who's taking the time to listen or watch enjoys it. And, I'm thinking about what's my purpose for doing all this. And my purpose is, I guess, one, to express my own memories, my feelings about things of that nature, obviously, to vent stuff. Okay, I'm not giving advice. I'm not pretending to have answers or be able to solve any issues. I did a couple cooking videos. I never thought I'd do a cooking video, but I found myself doing it. Suddenly single and cooking, whatever. The point being, I'm finding myself as an individual, and it's going to be kind of a hit and miss process. But today, I'm thinking about loss. I'm thinking about violence. I'm thinking about what happened in New Orleans. I'm thinking about what happens between two people. Many times, two loving people that end up hurting each other very, very deeply, physically and emotionally. And why do we do this to each other? I don't have the answers. I just raise the question and then spill out a lot of opinion or thought. But anyway, something that occurred today made me think about losing a friend. So I'm going to talk about that for a little while. Losing a friend, a human friend, not a dog friend or a spouse friend. Just a guy that, we met as kids. We became friends. We went through the whole kid thing, growing up together. Then we went off to college. We ended up being in the same college together. Then he met a young lady, and after just one or two dates, they became solid. They became, I'll use my own name instead of theirs, Pete and Tess. They became a couple, and they remained a couple for 50 years. And that's a huge accomplishment in any time frame, in any time in history. But I think today, when things seem to be kind of hit and miss or hook up and, take off, a committed relationship that's based on love and learning is unique and worth celebrating. So there's that. But I'm going to talk about losing this gentleman as my friend. I already said we've been friends for the better part of 70 years. Well, it wasn't. We didn't meet when we were 5 or 6 years old, so back off, Pete. We met, maybe, who knows, high school. Let's go with high school, 8th grade, 7th grade. The point is, we got to know each other and trust each other and talk about things together. And, we were in a little rock and roll band for a while together. We did a whole lot of different things. And it was just great. And then leaving home and going away to college, that's a big step for a kid. And, we were of the 60s generation. We were worried about getting, drafted. That was a big deal. And so, that was part of our reality. Now, neither one of us got drafted, thank you, God. Or I guess maybe he got drafted too. I got drafted and then rejected. I was 4F, ironically, because of a skiing accident or whatever you call it, an injury, when I was maybe in 6th grade. So who knew that, getting a torn cartilage and having an operation and so forth would lead to being 4F. And my first reaction to that was, when they said, you've been rejected by the United States Army, my first reaction was, what? Who? What are you talking about? You can't reject me. But then as I thought about it, well, I'm not a soldier boy. I mean, I don't know what I would do if they put me in those circumstances, but I'm glad they didn't. So here we are, as I said, now 76 years later. And I'll just say his name. It doesn't really matter. I'm not trying to violate any confidences. But Dave passed away due to cancer. See, I think that's why I'm verbalizing this stuff. You can be aware of things. You can say things to yourself and think them in your mind. But when you say it out loud, it has a different emotional impact. And now, my best friend Dave passed away from cancer. My mom, and now my wife. That's three people. And there's a couple people I know right now in my circle who have cancer. There may be people who just stumble across this and, for whatever reasons, start to listen to it, and they may have people in their family that have cancer. But I think the difference, because so many different things can happen to you to cause the end of your life or to cause suffering. I think the difference with cancer, and I'm going to quote this child that's on one of the programs, whether it's Shriners or the other hospital, the main hospital that we contribute to, that the worst part of cancer is knowing that you have it. God, and I think that kid is just speaking from the heart, and it's just such a poignant statement. The worst part of cancer is knowing that you have it. Now this damn thing is sitting on your shoulders. It never leaves you day or night. You have cancer. What are we going to do? How are we going to do it? We're going to get the treatment. Is the treatment going to work? What are the latest test results? All this crap that you go through. And I mean, I'm a champion for you. I mean, I appreciate it. I root for you. As they say, I think of you and pray for you and all that stuff. But ultimately, there is this disease that just marches through your body, chipping away at your life and taking it away from you piece by piece, step by step. And with Dave, because we moved, several miles apart, we didn't see each other as frequently, but we made a point to get together whenever we were in the same town. And so, if I was coming to his town or he was coming to my town, we'd hook up, we'd hang out, we'd go out for dinner, we'd do something. And that was the other irony of our friendship. We didn't really do a whole lot of stuff together. I mean, we didn't go hiking or biking or things that I've ended up being friends with other people because of that common interest. Dave and I just had a common interest in, we'll say, world politics, world peace, in kind of philosophical things, and just a temperament, just a sense of knowing each other. And maybe, like Simon and Garfunkel talk about before it happened. We never became famous, obviously, but we knew each other before all the different changes occurred in our life. And so we had this enduring friendship. And when he was sick, he didn't really tell me that he was sick. I didn't really know. I noticed that his gait was a little different. I noticed things that you kind of see, but you don't say, hey, what's going on with you? So when we got together for coffee or whatever, I would see little changes. Then he said something like, yeah, I got to lose a little weight, which I just said earlier is everybody's New Year's resolution. So that didn't mean anything. But the disease marched on. And because we were in different towns, we weren't hanging out as frequently as we did. So it would be a matter of months maybe between getting together. And then on one occasion, we didn't get together. And, I don't know if he came up with an excuse or a reason or whatever, but we didn't get together. And I think it was pretty soon after that his wife, who is my other dear friend, told me, that Dave had cancer. And see, that's the point. It's been, I don't know if it's been 10 or 11 years. It's been a long time. When you pop the lid off of something by bringing it up, it's still there. It's still there. And that loss is still there. And I want it to be there. I mean, I don't want I want it to be there. I don't want to be upset every day, every hour of every day, but I want to be able to just do it today and talk about it and say, damn it, he was my best friend. And he he represents, that's the other part of it. He represents a part of my life, a half of my life or more. So there's a lot of connection there. There's a lot of connection. And I have other friends. I have new friends, whatever. I'm very lucky. I'm very fortunate. I'm very happy that I have these people in my life. And you know, this is no disrespect or no dishonor to Dave or to my other friends. This is a matter of, what he was to me as an individual. And now who his wife is to me as an individual and a friend. We aren't still, yes, still after 50 years, we're still best friends. And I couldn't replace that for all the love and money in China. It's just, it's a friendship. And there's something about a friendship that transcends other relationships. A mutual friend of ours, we complimented him. I said, "You got a lot of friends, man." And he said, well, "No, not really a lot of friends. I have a lot of acquaintances." And he's a very philosophical guy, and I would just love him for it. But my point being, he's very right. You do have a lot of acquaintances. But how many of those acquaintances really mature and mellow into lifelong friends? So I'm very lucky. I got two for one. I got Dave and Alice. Might as well say Dave and Alice, because that's what it is. Dave and Alice to me are like a tattoo that never goes away, that you never want to go away. And yet, that doesn't mean because it's a tattoo and because it's permanent that somehow it's, how can I say this, some sort of a detention center. No, it's not a ball and chain. It's not a prison cell. It's just a lifelong part of who you are, that you can move on from there and have other relationships, other friendships. For her, she has her own life, and she can express and explore it just like I am. And that's why we're kind of doing this podcast together, because we have this bond of friendship and we have this learning experience of how to live beyond our original reason for being. So a lot of what I say here, I don't know, spaghetti and meatballs. I don't have a script. I'm just saying what comes to my mind as I go. One of the people watching one of my cooking videos says, "Yeah, you need to take cooking lessons." Oh my God, that's fun. Yeah, okay, good idea, buddy. I'm going to go take cooking lessons. That'll be exciting. I mean, it's obvious. I'm not trying to be a soothsayer or really a philosopher or a psychiatrist or not even a social worker. I'm just being myself and being who and how I feel in the moment. And who and how I feel at the moment are, I miss my friend. I miss my friend. He was taken away by a disease we all know, as my dad called it when my mom got it, the big C. Something's going to get you. I hope what gets me is a surprise. And my wife would always say, "Oh, everybody wants that." Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm not saying it's unique, but yeah, I hope he gets me from, like lightning strikes. One day I'm, having a great time, taking the dog for a walk. I don't want to do it with the dog, but nonetheless, take me by surprise. I have no fear of death. I have some fear of dying. Because I don't want to suffer. Who does? But once I'm across that bridge, I have no fear whatsoever. And, as Jesus once said, it is finished. That's what it'll be. It's finished. Right now, I just want to do my part to try to live a good life, leave a small footprint, but try to make it a good one. That's all I'm doing. So, Dave, I love you. I miss you. I think about you once in a while, thinking about you right now, and you were a classic guy. I mean, you were just a classic guy. You were not one of these backslapping, joke telling kind of guys. You were just very real. You were very knowledgeable. And we used to call him the old man. And we did that as a way of honor and respect and a little sense of humor, because he always did seem to be a little older than us, a little wiser than us, a little more knowledgeable than us. And also, hey, he had experiences before us. So we always just kind of looked up to him that way and still do. So losing a friend, whether it's, a male or female or your best friend or a lifelong friend, it's tough. It's tough. And what I'm doing and what I would say, hopefully for anyone, is look at how that person contributed to your life and made it such a good life, made those years together so good. That's what I look at now. That's what I look at now. Things keep coming to my mind. So one more little thought. Alice is a very happy girl, a very positive, active, outgoing, what's the word? The outgoing personality. And Dave was contrast to that. He was basically quiet, reserved, and, thoughtful. Anyway, Alice would have these big parties. So, who knows, dozens, maybe hundreds of people would come. She's a very popular person. Well, they both were, both very popular, but in different ways for different reasons. But what was so funny, and the image that comes to mind is, I would go to the party, and I'm pretty shy, and I'm not really great at being in those circumstances. So as the evening would go on, next thing you know, I'd realize me and Dave are hanging out in the corner talking about stuff. It was just such a cool, whatever the word is, but it was just so funny because in the midst of all this social stuff going on, Dave and I somehow end up hanging out together, talking about whatever, and so it's those kind of things. You don't end up hanging out with somebody who's not your best friend, So those are the kind of indicators that tell me how important our friendship was. Oh, and Dave and Alice, since you're listening, I always looked at Dave and Alice as my role models. They fell in love and stayed in love at a point in time where I didn't. They fell in love and stayed in love and had a marriage where I didn't. My relationships, went through their phases and ended up being part of the past until I met and married Tess. But the funny thing was, I would always bring my girlfriends over to meet Dave and Alice. They were kind of my American Idol jury. Oh, God, it's so funny because whoever that person was, they would just embrace her. They would become friends. And so next thing you know, as the weeks, days, months, whatever year went by, when she and I would break up, she and they would still be friends. It was just really incredible that way because I never hated anybody. There was never, God, I just talked about domestic violence and whatever. There was never anything like that. It was just like things just didn't work out. Whatever was going on, it was not moving in that direction. It was not moving towards the Dave and Alice long-term love marriage relationship. So when it moved on, and both of us moved on, the one remaining factor between us was Dave and Alice. Dave and Alice. And it was just so great. And nowadays I can still talk to Alice about this person or that person. She knows who we're talking about. We have that history. And she might even know who or where they are today. But, we've all moved on to our our different lives. But anyway, for those of you who have a great friend, boy, just love it. Just embrace it. Take heed that that friendship is something to honor and to cherish and to hold on to. If you've lost a friend, think about the good times. Think about the good times. Think about any of the times. Because in reality, they're all good. But if a disease takes your friend, or if an accident takes your friend, whatever it is that takes them, it happened. Don't let it take you. Don't let it take you. Let the love that you had between you, your friendship, let it keep burning. Let it be there. Something you can turn back to have as a steady light in the rest of your life. Okay, Dave. We'll see you later, man. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.